GME acknowledges the Wadawurrung traditional owners of the land, waterways and skies. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and we acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Greater Geelong community today. Community members are advised this is a virtual meeting. It's being recorded and will be published on Council's website. Can I get a show of hands that everyone can hear me and hear each other? Yep, great. Everyone except Gareth. Gareth's talking to himself.
I'm not sure if he's talking to us or not.
Are you talking to us, Gareth? Because you're on mute. I think Gareth's. Can you hear us, Gareth? No, he can't hear us. As per the requirement of the COVID-19 Omnibus Bill, Part 12, Clause 394, can I have a show of hands also that everyone can hear me, apart from Gareth, because he's just dropped off. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Section A, procedural matters, apologies.
Yes, we have an apology from Brett Ince, Julie Maxwell and Natalie Valentine, and Lee McCluskey is joining us, but maybe a little late. However, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a quorum without Gareth Smith. And Councillor Eddie has his hand up.
Councillor Nelson, I may need to leave in about 45 minutes, maximum 50, I'd suggest. And I apologise for that. I apologise.
Thanks, Councillor Quintel. I'd suggest that we won't be going for that long. And people are smiling, which is good. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Brendan. Declarations of interest? No. Confirmation of the minutes of October ordinary meeting?
Sorry, let me just let Gareth back in. You just need a mover and a seconder, please.
Yeah. A mover and a seconder. Robin and Ed. All those in favour? It's carried. Matters arising from the previous minutes?
Nil, Councillor.
Nil. Okay. Gareth's back. Can you hear me, Gareth? Just nod.
I can't hear a thing, Rod. No, I can. I can actually hear you now. I've sorted it out. So apologies for that, everybody, but don't know why I couldn't get sound out of the computer, but all done.
Okay, thanks, mate. Question time. Oh, Lee's here. That's good.
We received no questions.
Okay, great. Hi, Lee.
Hey, how you doing? I'm sorry I was late. Client thing.
Okay, Section B, reports. Budget update, please, Sharon.
Thank you. I can reflect the decisions made at the last meeting have been applied to the budget, which includes the Surround Sounds Geelong Music Festival. I can also confirm that the carryover has now been applied, was approved and has now been applied. And you can see that that carryover amount has been added to our available funds. No further update.
Okay, do I need to move? I don't have these details here, Sharon. Do I need to move in a second?
No, that's fine. Just noting.
Great, thanks. Section Paco Festa, number 6, Paco Festa verbal update, please, Sharon.
Thank you. I just thought I would take the opportunity. I know that Paco Festa is no longer funded through GME, but given we are moving back into what we hope to be an improved major event cycle over summer, certainly not back to normal, but improved on what we had in 2021, that I thought I just might give a little update for the committee, because Paco's an event that has always remained close to the hearts of the Geelong Major Events Committee. So Paco Festa in 2022 will acknowledge that they are that it is their 40th anniversary of the Paco Festa. Their objectives remain the same, that they want to celebrate, showcase and preserve cultural diversity through a positive and gained awareness of cultural diversity found in the Geelong region, increasing attendee understanding of different cultures, and increase the capacity and economic impact for participating established and newly arrived communities. So to that end, the 2022 program is building on a program of 2021. It is not a return to the typical Paco Festa, and you may have seen some news articles across the weekend relating to that. It is continuing with an online project of celebrating the 40 years of Paco, and that'll be launched in the coming weeks. To celebrate Paco being 40 years young, and there'll be an opportunity for the community to contribute stories and photos and maybe videos in later years, maybe not so many videos from the early years, but that will build a history of Paco, a pictorial and an online history of Paco that will really commemorate how significant a community event it has been for the multicultural community and the broader community of Geelong. So the online project is a large part of what they're doing in 2022. There'll also be exhibitions in Market Square and along an arts trail along Packington Street that will commemorate the 40 years young of Paco Festa. They are continuing with their cookbook concept. You may remember in 2021, they launched recipe cards and they established a series of recipe cards that related to the many communities that are represented in their global food events when they have those as part of the Paco Street Festa. And in 2022, that's culminating in a cookbook, which will no doubt be a well sought after acknowledgement of all of the diverse cultural food opportunities that we see as part of Paco Festa. On the 26th of February, which would traditionally be the Festa Day, there is a global food event. You may remember in 2021, earlier this year, that was held at 3 locations, and basically a hub of communities came together and cooked cultural food, and people could come and get takeaway, or they could come and sit and eat in, and that was held in a couple of locations around community halls. It had to fit within COVID restrictions. In 2022, they're going to combine those locations into one larger location. There'll be 18 diverse communities showcasing their food, and they'll have up to another 20 cultural groups performing and participating in different ways broader than just food. So it'll be a festival, I guess, in the sense of a festival, but not on the street as one is used to in Packington Street, but it's a nice transition from the small scale down event in 21, moving into a festival, but in a environment, in a closed environment, an off-road environment, where it can be managed accordingly, and leading back into, obviously preparing and leading back into 23 once we think all COVID restrictions are likely to be removed, and they can probably return to a more typical Paco Festa. So I just thought that the committee would have an interest in that, and it was an opportunity to talk a little about what some of our larger community events are doing in this space as they transition out of the strict COVID requirements that we had in 2020 and 21. As you would be well aware, within probably over the last 3 weeks, the state government has released, continued to release more information on what are the expectations of event organisers in the context of COVID management of large crowds. And pretty much the restrictions have all been lifted in relation to density, crowd limits. There is still guidance in relation to check-ins, hand washing, sanitation, masks, where you can't distance, etc. And those basic COVID principles will continue to apply, but the requirement, if events are held in public spaces that the public can also attend, members of the public can attend, then there's no longer a requirement to ensure that there's only double vaccinated people in that environment. So the requirement to fence and manage and register all of those participants of your event have changed over the coming weeks, which is great for our major events, particularly our major sporting events like Bay Cycling Classic, Ironman, Geelong Revival. All of those events had event plans that were adapting to whatever density limits may be in place, fencing of large spaces so that they could manage any vaccination requirements, any vaccination mandates that may have been in place by the state government. But now that those restrictions have been removed, those type of large sporting events will pretty much be able to return to their normal footprint and their normal operation in 2022, which is fantastic. It's, you know, the advice from the state government and the clarity from the state government regarding what events can and can't do when they're in public spaces, it's been very welcomed. Late November, but it's probably, not probably, it is a little late for some of those event organisers and some of those particularly community and volunteer event organisers who had to make decisions about their events, their 2022 events a couple of months ago. And if they, you know, and they stop planning at that point, so they can't necessarily turn around an event in a number of weeks to match what is the current restrictions. So I'm sure we'll continue to see commentary in the media and questions from the public relating to why some events are still in transition mode, why some events are still in a COVID safe version, why some events are not returning in 2022. Cadell Evans Road Race is a very good example of that. But with the lead times of those events, they needed to make their decisions much earlier than that advice when it came out late in November. So all good. Just thought it was an opportunity for us to just clarify where we're sitting at that. In January, over the next month, we have 2 GME events. Archie 100 continues at the Geelong Gallery. The gallery have been very happy with attendances so far, and it's proving an extremely popular exhibition. That continues through to February. And we have the Bay Cycling Classic on 8-9 Jan. So Councillor Murray, thank you very much. Peter, Councillor Murray attended the launch last week, which was great, down on the waterfront. And there was lots of press there, and that got quite a bit of coverage. The event, the Bay Cycling Classic, is a Saturday, Sunday, 2-day event. Again, it reflects an event that was planned whilst restrictions still existed and were anticipated. So that event is a 2-day event, and both of those days are in Eastern Park. The criterium in Eastern Park will be used for both Saturday and Sunday. On one day they ride clockwise, and on the other day they ride anti-clockwise, which creates a completely different ride, a completely different race, even though it's on the same course. One becomes a sprint finish and one becomes a very steep climb finish. So we're looking forward to that. That was really all I had. Just if anybody's got any questions about events over summer, just thought I'd take the opportunity at this meeting to give a bit of a wrap up on what's coming up.
Thanks, Sharon. Just with the Paco Festa, I mean, there's, been highlighted on social media a little bit that, they're blaming council for this event not going ahead. What, if any, involvement has council had?
We're not involved in the planning of the event.
Yeah.
As you know, it's the city sponsors the event and provides Paco with community sponsorship. And we have simply just supported them through their planning process. But we're not directly involved in what that event format is.
No worries. Thanks.
And we certainly haven't directed them to not deliver an event in any way, shape or form. Those decisions lie with the event organisers themselves.
Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Pete. That takes in general event updates as well, I guess. So I'll move into section C, further business. Date of the next meeting or next meetings. The schedule was in the email attachment I saw this morning. So we will move a motion that this concludes the public section of the ordinary meeting. I call for a member to move a motion that GME close the meeting to the public in accordance with section 66 2A Local Government Act 2020 to consider contractual matters. Mover and a seconder, please. Brendan and Ed, all those in favour? Carried.